it's amazing to see how we have allowed teams to evolve, not looking at team effectiveness. So we would have been looking tactically at who to appoint in what role. And then even if we would do that very well, so taking into account the value to be created by that role, it's surprising that we hardly ever get to a granular view on what does this team need to achieve, so jobs to be done. What are the risks around this team of all the in view of who are member of the team, and how is every of the members of the team well positioned to address any of those risks? It's just we haven't done that, have we?
No, we've actually managed to survive, Hein, for 35 years without doing that in a very disciplined way, right? 35, 70 years between us, and now we're dating ourselves. But at least we're around to do it. So, when you think about it that way, it's the individual risk in the role, and then as they rack up and stack up across the organization, you can see where things can go wrong. A great example is some of the jobs that are out there today. The chief risk officer. So, what are the jobs to be done, and what are the risks that we have to manage and mitigate? Authority is often a big one. Or another one that you see quite frequently is chief digital officer. 5 years ago, we'd be saying, what in the world is that? And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, we're still seeing that many organizations don't have an answer to that in terms of the jobs to be done. And when you don't get the jobs to be done right, piece right, the rest of it falls apart.
Yes, you're right. And it's surprising to see how much has gone well, even without us doing that. So that tells you something about the potential for them. There's much more to be achieved by teams and by roles if you do that analysis correctly. So there is a lot of unleashed potential that is sitting there. And then the other thing I would say, Bill, like we know from all the jobs we have looked at, all the roles we have looked at, not all teams are created equal. So there is a number of teams where you could respectfully say, oh, good is just good enough, fine, leave it. But there are teams that are much closer than other teams to where the actual value needs to be created. And there, it would be interesting to find a way in which we could apply the talent to value thinking and practice to the team.
Yes, definitely. And another way to think about the team is the ecosystem. The team and everybody in the team, and how they touch each other and become parts of each other. And when you look at things that way, you can also see where things can go wrong in a particular role. And I'll give you an example. There was somebody that I knew once, who went into a CHRO role. It was pitched as a role that was going to, change the way talent was managed to create competitive advantage in the organization. And the organization was sort of looking for the paperwork and police function, in HR, which was very dated at the time, even at that point in time. And the ecosystem running around that, created a dynamic where there was one set of expectations coming in, not being met, and it ended up unhappily for the person, primarily because that ecosystem of the team wasn't ready.